High above the spine of Europe, where time is measured in ice and silence, something ancient waited beneath the snow. In the summer of 1991, two hikers wandered off a marked trail, unaware they were walking into history. Lying just beneath the surface, twisted, frozen, was a human form, weathered but intact. Skin like old leather, a hand reaching outward as if frozen mid-thought, tools scattered at his side. At first, they assumed it was a lost climber, nothing more than a recent tragedy. He was lifted from the ice, hoisted into the present, along with a story locked away for 5 millennia. But the morgue would tell a different tale, not of a modern death, but of an ancient survival. Grass fibers, flint blade, copper-stained wounds, every detail whispered of another world. And in that quiet lab, someone finally said it out loud. This was no ordinary corpse. This was the Iceman. Authorities arrived quickly, expecting a common tragedy, the body of a lost mountaineer, another victim of the Alps. But even in the frozen silence, details didn't add up. The clothing was crude, the tools unfamiliar. Notes were taken, photos snapped. A routine extraction began, under the assumption that the case was simple. They flew the remains to Innsbruck, thinking the answers would be quick and ordinary. But the first incision halted halfway. Something was wrong. This was no recent death. His skin was not rotting, it was preserved. His wounds weren't fresh, they were ancient. The body had injuries no modern climber would carry. And the tools hadn't been touched by time in thousands of years. Plant fragments, pollen, and blood, sealed in by the ice, were frozen clues waiting to be read. And when the tests came back, silence fell. The man on the table wasn't 50 years old. He was over 5,000. Now laid bare on the table, the body began to speak. Not in words, but in wounds. A shadow beneath the skin revealed the first clue. An arrowhead, still lodged deep in his shoulder. Its path pierced an artery, enough to kill within minutes. Ötzi didn't die of exposure, he was hunted. His right hand showed a deep defensive cut, perhaps from fighting back. A struggle, then retreat, then silence. But what he carried told a different story. Not a man fleeing blindly, but one prepared for survival. His axe was copper, rare for the time. Worn, but deadly. Carefully made, carefully packed. Tools not of a victim, but a man of purpose. And from these fragments, a face was born again. Pieced together from bone, muscle, and memory. They stared at him. The man who once walked among them, now returned in silent truth. Long before he became a case file, he was just a man walking a path, high above the world. The cold didn't scare him. He had crossed these ridges before, mapped them in his bones. Every step measured, every footfall a choice. The weight he carried was not just survival, it was knowledge. Even in death, he scanned the land like a hunter, alert, alone. He stopped only when he had to. Water from glacial streams, rest beside old stones. Inside his pouch, bread, moss, and medicine, remnants of a meal, or maybe a ritual. The climb grew steep, but he kept moving. Something, or someone, followed. The axe was old but sharp, valuable, a tool and a weapon. He reached the crest. The valley stretched beneath him, but the sky had already begun to darken. From under his tunic, he drew a pendant, a reminder or a farewell. And then he vanished, swallowed not by time, but by the storm. Wounded and alone, he pressed forward, step by step, breath by breath. He looked back, but saw nothing. Still, he felt it, the weight of being watched. The blood wouldn't stop. His hands shook. The air grew thin, heavy. Even the snow remembered that moment, where his blood first touched the mountain. But still, he climbed. Toward shelter, toward silence. Behind stone, he crouched, listening for footsteps, but none came. He held his last talisman, not as a warrior, but as a man facing the end. Then his body gave way, not to fear, not to weakness, but to time. Eyes open, fixed on sky, he faded into frost. No one came, no one saw, just wind and snow. And the earth covered him, not for a season, but for 5,000 years. The body lay still, surrounded by wind, silence, and stone. Snow gathered like a shroud, one flake, then another, then thousands. By nightfall, he was gone from sight. By spring, forgotten. No grave was marked, no cairn was built. Only the mountain kept him. Snow turned to ice to glacier, flesh to artifact. Centuries passed in silence. The earth moved on, but it did not let go. Kingdoms rose and fell, roads carved into valleys. Still, he remained beneath it all. Preserved, not by intention, but by cold and chance and time. His bones waited, perfectly sealed, no air, no sound, no light, until one day the ice gave him back. In August of 1991, the mountain began to melt and gave up what it had hidden. Two hikers wandered off the trail, just as he once had. They thought they had found a lost climber, frozen, strange, exposed. They didn't touch it. They didn't have to. The mountain had already preserved every detail. The call was made. The chain began, of rescue, science, and story. Within hours, machines arrived to reclaim a man the world had forgotten. They flagged the scene like any modern accident. But this was not modern. Fragments of leather, wood, bone, all trapped in time, waiting. His body left the ice that day, but his truth remained inside it. As the helicopter rose, the mountain closed behind them, as if nothing had happened. What science revealed next was not just about death, but lineage. Ötzi's DNA matched living people today, distant cousins walking among us. Some tend sheep in Sardinia, others climb the same mountains without knowing why. Faces echo through time, profile to profile, age to age. Even the land remembers, one man in the ice, another in the sun. Children in classrooms now carry fragments of him in their blood. His tools, sharpened by hand, sit behind glass, yet still teach. They come to see a man, but they leave having seen themselves. One hand reaches across 5,000 years and finds another waiting. His likeness remains, rotating in silence. No longer a mystery, but a memory. And every step we take through those same passes is a walk beside him.